day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ben, and today we are going to be doing episode 8 of the video series, So You Want to Be a MATLAB God. In today's video, we're going to be talking about user-defined functions. So let's start off with the basic of what user-defined functions are. User-defined functions allow a programmer to make a function that can be called within MATLAB. These functions can be created in a single script if a certain algorithm needs to be used multiple times in a single code, or they can also be created as their own files to be used in multiple programs or shared with others. So I'm going to show you two different ways that we can make user-defined functions. The first way is just within the MATLAB workspace. So the way you do it in MATLAB is you go down to the bottom of your code. A lot of other programming languages might have you make these kinds of functions at the beginning of your code, but MATLAB has you do it the other way around at the end of your code. And we're going to make a function and we're going to call it do these calculations because that's all we're going to do right now just to keep things simple. So we're going to say function and then it's going to be what it outputs, and we're going to start right now with just answer, and it's going to be equal to do these calculations, and we're going to send it two variables right now, a and b. And so then we can hit enter a few times, and then to close it off, just like everything else in MATLAB, we simply use end. And so now we have a user-defined function in MATLAB. So let's make a little thing that this function does. We're going to just have it sum a and b right now. So we're going to say answer is equal to a plus b. Cool. So now to see if this works, we're going to move to our window, and we're going to have defined variables x is equal to 5, and we're going to say y is equal to 3. And so now we're going to call our function, and so we're going to say z is equal to do these calculations, and then we're going to send x comma y into it. And so I'm going to unsuppress this so we can see what this does. And as you can see, the answer is 8, just as we expect. So one thing that you may be asking yourself right now is, why did I not call these a and b? Because in here they're a and b. Generally, it is good practice to call your variables something different inside of your function than what you call them in your main code. So the next thing I'm going to show you now is that we can actually have multiple outputs from a user-defined function. And so we're going to do a few more things with this function here, and we're going to call this sum. We're also going to have another one that is difference, and that's going to be simply a minus b. We're going to have one that is product, and that's going to be a times b. And then we're going to have another one that's the division, and we're going to say that is equal to a divided by b. And so now our answer right now is not defined, so we'll change that. And in MATLAB's general structure, we wanted to say output the variables sum, difference, product, and division. And so we're going to say sum, diff, product, and div. So now if we were to run this, we would get multiple outputs here. And so we need to change this accordingly up in our code up here. And so we're just going to call these out 1, out 2, out 3, and out 4. So now if we run this, we would expect to have 4 different outputs from this one function that we just defined. So let's run that real quick. And as you can see, we have our different outputs. You can see this is the sum. 3 plus 5 is 8. The difference, which is 2. Multiplication, which is 15. And then division, which is 1.6667. So another thing that can be very useful in user-defined functions is a thing we call global variables. Now, I will say that you should be careful using global variables, because if you're making user-defined functions for other codes and you have these global variables defined, it may screw up the naming convention of some of your variables in there, and you're just using unnecessary space in your RAM, which isn't always an issue, but sometimes it can be. So it's just something to look out for. So we're going to create another variable. We're going to say a global variable. So we say global, and then we're going to make our variable variable, because I can't come up with a name right now. And so we're going to say that variable is equal to 65. So that's nice, right? And you can see for global variables, it highlights them in this this light blue color. So as is, this variable is currently not defined inside of this function. And so to do that, we simply just have to type global and then variable. And since this lines up with what is up here, we also have this variable now defined in here. And to prove that I am not just full of baloney right now, we're going to add to the sum the term variable, if I can spell. Variable. See, as you can see, it highlights this light blue color to show that it is indeed this variable here. So now when we go and run this, you're going to see that the sum is going to be 65 plus 5 plus 3, which should be 73. So let's look. Scroll up, and as you can see, our summation is 73. So now I'm going to show that we can do this exact same thing, but do it in a different window. So say we want this function, but we want any code to be able to run it. We don't just want our code to run it. So what we can do here is we can make a new script right here, and we're going to save it, and we're going to call it, it's called do these calculations. And remember, this is case sensitive, so you want to type the file name exactly as your function is titled. So we're going to call it do these calculations. So we're going to do that, and we're simply going to take this, we're going to copy it from here, or actually cut it, and then we're going to paste it in here. So now we have this function right here, which takes some variables from here. And now I'm going to clear this just to show that I'm not making stuff up. So you can see we clear this, and we're going to run this again. And as you can see, we get the exact same response. So I hope you guys, this is all I have for user-defined functions. This is now the end of the set of videos where we are doing more just the basics of MATLAB. In future videos upcoming, I'm going to be going more in depth on some MATLAB tools that I think are a lot more interesting. These topics can include other functions like ODE45, which are very useful. I might have some videos on audio files and maybe some other just interesting algorithms that you might find useful. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something that you can apply in your coursework, or if you're just learning MATLAB just cause. Hope you learned something from this. If you did, please like, favorite, subscribe, share the word, and hope to see you next time.